Good evening, everyone. This is Dee from H&D Abroad. I am in the studio today without my partner in crime, my husband, because it is Thursday. It's Ladies' Day. It's time for us to get into the details about caring for ourselves and making sure that we are thriving in our physical health, our mental health, our social well-being. And I have made a promise to talk to you all in depth about receiving medical care in Mexico. So if you are looking for a place in the world, for a community that is transparent about the move abroad process, we could be your place. I'm going to invite you to go ahead and to subscribe to this channel, hit the notification bell so that you know when we go live. And get in the description because that is where we're sharing how you can work with us as we are sharing how to talk with your spouse, how to use those research tools, how to prepare for a scouting trip. We've done many, and we have shared what we have learned, and we want to share it with you. So I appreciate the sisters for showing up. Aileen Brown, I see you. Thank you. Hey, Lori. Good evening. Good evening. Good evening. The Abex girl. Thank you. Hey, Poetry. Good to see you, darling. So we just gonna dive right in. So the truth about OB/GYN care in Mexico. I'm going to share about my first visit and the cost around that. And let me tell you why. A lot of us are travelers. Most of the people that are in this community either have a desire to travel more or are frequent travelers. I know that Poetry was just down in Panama, so she can give her feedback about that. But I say when you are traveling, if you have the opportunity to engage in the local way of life, that is what we talk about on the channel. So we talk about going to the grocery store, not just all the great places, the restaurants to eat. We talk about, yes, what's the cost? Is rideshare available? Because we've been to at least one place where it was not legal. So we had to figure out how to barter the cost of our taxi, which I'm not about that life. That's too stressful for me. But just all of the things that you would do as someone that would live in a place gives you a sense of what it's like to be there long term. And so I'm sharing my 2023. Once we finished our residency information that we got approved for our extension for our temporary residency in Mexico last October. We finished it in one day, which I was so proud of myself for doing. I was like, well, now I have the opportunity to do something new. And one of those was because a priority for me is to, yes, everyone's talking about how accessible healthcare, financially accessible, how quickly you can get in with the doctor. And so I said, I'm going to try this for myself because it's an experience that I know I'm going to do. I'm going to continue my mammograms and my pap smears. And because I know my family's health history, I may come to a point where I would need a doctor and to have surgery. So engaging with the healthcare system, because I know it's something that I may have to do, it's something that I wanted to take care of on that trip. Hey, Marissa. So, you know, if you didn't know, there's a healthcare crisis in the US. That crisis looks like access to a doctor as you get older and you change your health insurance plans. It definitely increases your likelihood of experiencing there's either a doctor that will not take me, or they have so few spots for Medicare that I'm going to have to find somewhere else to go. And so a lot of people are leveraging temporary visa access, tourist visa access to go across the border to Mexico to have their regular medical care. I've watched several MSNBC episodes where they have shared, if you live on the border of New Mexico or Arizona or Texas, folks are crossing the border for dental care. If you have to have major oral surgery, people are finding ways that if I'm going to pay this dentist a few $1,000s, this would pay for a plane ticket, housing, and a little bit of tourism while I'm having my medical procedure done. So I'm just saying, I'm sharing this because people are having to take this route to receive their regular medical care that doesn't have tremendous out-of-pocket cost. So once I knew that we were going to be able to get through the process, I wanted to make sure I had at least a few days set aside to contact a doctor. I had already, before we left, I'd kind of gotten in some of the Facebook groups. I'd reached out to some friends that had recently moved to say, hey, who have you heard on the ground that could be a OBGYN option for me? And, you know, because I have this issue, I've got that issue. And I hadn't had a PAP, to be transparent. I chose not to go to an OB-GYN in my home country. I've shared that I'm a doula. I don't trust the medical establishment. And so I was like, I'm gonna try somewhere different because I just had such a fear. So reaching out to friends, asking who they had been to, what was the experience like, what was the access. I got a couple of WhatsApp numbers, and that is not how we do things in the States. You call a doctor's office, they ask what kind of health insurance you have, and then they tell you they've got appointments for new patients in 4 to 6 months. And when you have a health issue or it's been a while and you're concerned about your health, you don't want to hear that you've got to wait another 4 months or 6 months. So I reached out to the doctor, not the doctor's office. I reached out to the doctor to ask if they had any appointments in the next 24 to 48 hours. And in the same day, the doctor replied back to me that she did. In English, she replied back to me, told me what her availability was and how to contact her office and let them know that she would be able to do my intake, not the next day, but within 48 hours. So that morning we got in the taxi, my husband and I, and went to the office, which was a beautiful building. She is in the Roma community. So we went to her building I think she was like on the 8th floor, so beautiful views, beautifully laid out office. I checked in, which was really easy. The receptionist had enough English that we could communicate, and I signed in and sat a minute. I probably went in within 30 minutes of arriving. I did get there a little bit early. Had a very detailed intake where she asked me questions in English. She asked if I would prefer English or Spanish. I said English. She shared about her medical background, that she had been trained in the US. She had been back in Mexico, and that she did have quite a few expat clients, which helped me to have a little bit of confidence, that she was familiar with, kind of my expectations of, yes, I want a thorough workup today, but, that if I need follow-up care, that you're going to be here. So yeah, that was really, like, we spent the good part of 40 minutes with her asking me what was my health history, what are my concerns, what did I want to do today? And if I had questions, she was continuing to answer them. Then in her office, so we sat down, and then she did an exam. She did a thorough exam. She asked about my comfort level. The room was warm. I was like, could you cool it off a little bit? So it really was tailored to my comfort. It wasn't super busy. Like, she had she had time to spend with me, which I have never, and I'm over 50, I have never experienced that level of care, especially at my age. And so she said, I'd like for you to get a follow-up on something that I found. And so she was like, my ultrasound equipment is pretty basic for, the OB side of the work that I do. But when I have a finding like what we have today, I want to send you to a radiologist. So, now I'm like, okay, do I have to find a radiologist? And so she said, go ahead, get dressed. By the time I had gotten dressed, she had called, found out the availability, and had a few appointment times ready for me before I left her office. So when I left her office, I had the name, I had the person, I had my follow-up appointment. She could not see me. The radiologist could not see me the same day, but she could see me in the morning. Now, if you know anything about seeing a specialist in the US, and Herman has shared his story of, it being 6 months or more that he needed to see someone, and actually had a health crisis that maybe could have been averted if he could have seen a specialist in a timely way. It just, when she said, I have a finding, and, the first thing a lot of us think about is cancer. Do I have cancer? Do I have a tumor? Do I have a growth that, is threatening my life? Am I going to have surgery? Like, I knew that I had been having some discomfort, but I want to know today, what am I going to do quickly? And so I got an appointment for the next morning, went to her office in a beautiful section of the same Colonia Roma. And I was the only patient that day, or at that time. I think she met with me before her clinic actually opened. And so she talked to me as she was, doing it. She noticed that I was really nervous. And so, just being able to have my questions answered, I knew that if what she said to me at the very beginning of that appointment is, I if there was anything I didn't understand, if she wasn't communicating in a way that was helpful to me, or that I could understand, that she could stop if I needed to do Google Translate, whatever I needed to be able to make sure that I understand what was happening. She was happy to do that. Her English was reasonable enough for us to be able to have a conversation. I didn't feel confident that I could have a deep conversation with her. But I, as a person, as a health advocate, I'm not going to leave if I have questions. And so one of the things I asked was, when you look, do I have cancer? Do I need to have any other confirmatory? And she was just like, no, there's no cancer. She was like, I would like to take a look at this and see if there is extra things that are happening, to see. So we now have a baseline. So when you come back, then we can take a look and see if there are any changes. So she said, I'm coordinating with your doctor's office. I will have your images to you the same day. I got those images. We left there and went to the lab. So I'll talk about the lab in a minute, but after going to the lab, we were there maybe an hour and a half, maybe, after the radiology appointment. I got my images while we were eating lunch. So she took some still images so that if I decided to get follow-up care in the States, or I came back to her, that I would have that documentation. And then she did a write-up so that I could share that with a provider. So she did have the write-up in Spanish, which I'm okay with. I have a friend who I've had on this channel that's with, that is medical tourism RN. Dr. Romental has been on my channel, and she went to Colombia and received some health screenings, had hoped to have some additional diagnostic work while she was in Colombia. But as a part of that, she found a medical translation service. I believe she said it was only $75 if you have write-ups that are in Spanish, but you need them translated to English so that you can go back to your US doctor. Or if you're like my employer has a second medical opinion, that you can show them their images and they can have the official medically, there's a medical translation certification, and I want those folks to translate and not Google translate for me to share with my provider. And so she did that. She said, if you have any questions in the future, you have my WhatsApp number, you have my office email address. And I did. When I got back to the States, I was like, I don't see, you mentioned this, but I don't see it. And she said, literally the same day I asked for it, I got it back. I am encouraging people to say, to not only say I'm dissatisfied with my healthcare in the US, but to know that they have other ways that they can take care of their health issues. If it's something where you're not needing to see a doctor every week, maybe the next time you go on vacation, maybe you could take the opportunity, because my doctor's visit, my OBGYN visit was out of pocket $137.98. That is less than the copay to my regular GP here in the States. I went to a specialist. The specialist was the radiologist that gave me my information back the same day was $221.20. This is US dollars, not pesos. The lab where I got, and if you're my age, you want to know about your thyroid, you want to get a full cholesterol panel, you want to get you want to know, hey, am I in the early stages of menopause? You know, you want to get all of, I had heart concerns. And so I want to say is it LPA? Anyway, I wanted a lot of different tests. And so I went to a lab. I could have walked up to the lab and asked for any test I wanted without having to go to the doctor and pay a copay and have a referral from the doctor. Now, my doctor, I told her what I wanted to have done. And so she did put it in an order, and I took it so that I could just show that it was already translated. It was already as a part of her orders. But you can walk up and have any blood work that you like. As a health advocate, I always encourage people to go to your doctor for interpreting the results. Okay. Because more than just knowing that your numbers are in a certain range or fall out of a certain range, like I'm paying attention to my iron because anemia is in my family. That you're not just making decisions about these are the labs that I need, but they know the labs that would be complementary that you should get so that they can have a full picture on how to advise you. But also, one number doesn't mean you're more at risk or less at risk. And so we came to the lab. I sat down. Clearly, I don't speak any Spanish, okay? I have such a minimal level of Spanish. I would prefer saying I have no skills, but I was able to show the order from my doctor's office and use Google Translate that I put up to the screen where it was asking different questions. And I could share the information with the intake representative. I had a lot of blood drawn that day. And what I know is that a butterfly needle, if you are a medical person, a butterfly needle is what I asked for because I knew that that this was going to need to be a fasting lab, and that I had onboarded some water earlier in the day, but I knew my veins were pretty flat. And I was like, I don't want you to stick me a million times. This was the best phlebotomist. I'm trying to remember what his name was. I think I wrote it down because he was so kind and he was so quick to the point where me, needle phobic, was like, did you put it in there? I mean, like, you're getting blood out, but I didn't feel you put the needle in my arm. Like, professional. He had everything set up. He didn't fumble. The room was very clean, very quiet. And he was very efficient. So literally we were in and out of the lab, including wait times, in less than an hour, or at most an hour. So I got the test results for my lab, I'm going to say within 24 hours. I think it was later that night that we got my labs. And so I was able to, to review them myself and then send them to my doctor's office. So when I had those labs done, all of the labs, and I'm talking about some specialty labs, I paid $221.20 for my lab. I'm just saying, like, if I don't do nothing when I vacation in Mexico, I'm gonna go to the doctor. I'm just telling you. I'm just telling you. These are opportunities to see before I have an urgent need. Is this something that would fit for me? This is, when you go to a doctor, you're trusting them with your health. And for a lot of us, as we get older, it's with my life. Not just when you're older. I mean, you're trusting your doctor with the quality of life, your quality of life. And I think being intentional about it, more than just, can somebody tell me if this is working for me? So poetry, poetry is asking me what the name of the clinic is. Yes, it is in Colonia, Roma. If you're are you asking about the lab or the OB that I saw? So I did not get her permission to use her name on the interwebs, so I won't use her name. But if you send me an email, I can share it that way. But yeah, thank you, Aileen. Thank you for sharing your niece's story. Yeah, when my niece went to Guadalajara, abdominis recti surgery. Oh, that is closing. So that usually happens when you are pregnant. As the baby grows, your abdominal wall stretches, and sometimes it'll stretch and then eventually kind of fit back together. But for a lot of women, they have a divot right in the middle, and it is very uncomfortable. And so I believe that that's what it is. It was joined back, and you can have a doctor help join it back together. And she said it was the best medical care she had ever had. So I'm just saying, there are well-qualified doctors. So when I say ask in community, where are the people that I could go to? I want to have, I need a dermatologist. You can get different people's recommendations, but it's still on you to take a look at their credentials, see if they're in violation, if their license is under review. Those organizations do exist outside of the US as well. If you're not doing that in the States, please do. Please do. Please see if they've got some lawsuits against them for, their care practice. Do that due diligence. The same exists outside the US. And I know that I am joyfully moving into the move abroad space, but I know that I'm taking my health issues, my health concerns with me, and that I'm going to continue to see a doctor regularly for my self-care. And when you are doing that, have somebody in your Rolodex. That's what we used to say. Have some bodies in your contact list that you've had some experience with before, so that you can call them up. Another friend of mine shared that she's had two health crises. And then more recently, her husband had a health crisis. And I mean, like an urgent health crisis, like requiring a medical stay. She called her doctor that she had previously seen, who came to her house, saw her husband, and said, he needs to go to the emergency room right now. She said, well, okay, let me call a ride share. We don't have a car. She says, I'm putting you in my car. She calls the emergency room, says, we're on the way, wheels him in, does the basic assessment, determines that he's had a critical health crisis, that he needs at least one overnight stay, and they admit him. He's in the bed in hours, in a matter of hours, having had assessments, treatment, medications. If you've ever been in the emergency room in the States, it's an all-nighter. It's an all day. People have collapsed. People have died waiting in the waiting room. It don't have to be like that. It doesn't even have to be like that. I was planning to share on this channel today, and I'm being in full transparency because Marissa is here. I was going to talk to you all about why I am starting a YouTube channel, or I have started a YouTube channel that I will be going live on. I am a birth and postpartum doula. I truly believe that in the US, we have documented a maternal health crisis, and that we are out here fighting for women, and especially for Black women, to just receive the basic medical guidelines care. If what we are saying is that if doctors followed just the guidelines we have in place for things like what to do for medical hemorrhaging, that Black women would not be 4, 5, 10 times likely to die in childbirth. The strategy we've been using is trying to double down and look and find doctors that might be able to do better medical care, where I don't have to fight for being seen as a full human, to be taken seriously, for somebody to sit and listen to my concerns. I'm like, just throw the whole thing in the trash. Come on. It's better out here. It's better out here. It's better out here because I know because I've had at least 2 doula clients to say I have experienced quality midwifery home births, quality midwife-led births in a hospital, where I could do all the things, the labor in a tub, birth in a tub, birth on my hands and knees, the things that are intuitive to my body, that really I structured this special time that I know can be safe, has documented to be a safe approach. And people are just out here fighting to not have an episiotomy when it's not medically necessary. People are out here fighting for just the basic. Go somewhere else. Just throw it all in the trash can. There are beautiful birth centers. There are beautiful, not just beautiful, there are well-qualified, well-equipped medical facilities in places that you are already visiting for your jazz festival, that you're visiting for your girls' trip, that you have only thought about as a resort area, can have access to some quality medical care. And so when I am sharing prices and I'm sharing experiences that I've had, that I know that people that are in my community are having, I'm not going to leave my sisters that are birthing in the US. I'm not leaving y'all behind. I'm here to raise the banner, to raise the standard that, look, it can be different. I'm your doula. I'm your girl. I'm all about women's health. And that you don't want to have to figure this part out when you get that pregnancy test. or when you have run into the doctor that you have used for a lifetime who is telling you at 3 months, this looked like you gonna have a big baby, so you need to have a birth. Really? At 3 months? That's what you're telling me? You just set me up for a surgical birth. Like, it's the mentality of, I can care for myself and I have experience and I know folk and I can connect in a way that helps me to achieve my health goals. People are out here birthing outside the US. They are experiencing beautiful postpartum care where I don't clean a toilet, make my own food. What's that? Like, we are doing that. Having somebody come to your house for your the pediatric visit, coming to your house to make sure that you're healing well, to your house, not to the office, to your house. It's happening. It's happening. It's happening in beautiful places. And your doula sister is here to help. I'm just telling you. Big Sis Doula. I have the information in the description. That's where I'm going to share the good with my sisters, my younger sisters that are birthing, to say, you have options. You don't have to figure it out all by yourself. Like, where are the birth centers? Can they take my medical insurance? What are the out-of-pocket costs? If it's out of pocket and I have health insurance in the States, can I just be reimbursed at the out-of-network rate? What? And I mean, it's less money and I get money back. Come on. Don't get out here by yourself. Don't get out here by yourself. So now that you know, I'm gonna use the Stephanie Ferry phrase. And now that you know that if you are looking for a way to access medical care, if you are looking for how to connect with local folk, where they're doing this, where they're doing that, hey, I wanna talk to somebody who's done it. Right in the description, one-on-one consult with me. I will share the numbers. I'll share the details. I'll share where I went. I'm just saying, if you really want somebody to help you to pull that together, I'm your girl. I refuse to keep silent, because OBGYN care as you get older is a priority for me. It's a personal priority for me. And I know that women will survive, but I'm not about that survival life. I'm not about that survival life. I was a young woman who just took it. Ooh, I can't share the stories on here, but I've had some trauma getting my preventive care, where I was emotionally and physically harmed in a doctor's office. So when I say I am cautious, I'm over cautious. And when I say somebody's good or something is good, that you can ask, you can make sure you're asking the right questions before you walk in the door. I'm just saying, you want somebody to help tell you how to ask your health insurance company for reimbursement. What do you need to be collected on the front end so you can get your money back? Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do it. So I want to say thank you for OB. Yes. Okay. Yes. Message me poetry. Message me. Yes. Come on now. Women have more reproductive medical care rights in Mexico versus the US. We have none, baby. if we had some, it's like they're looking to take the rest from us. Have you seen the Supreme Court rulings? Like stuff that we thought was a solid. I thought my access to certain medical care options that my doctor and I, as the patient, deem necessary, I now have a question if I have access to that. What? I'm not going to say Handmaid's Tale, but you know. Hey, Sabangale is here. We done talked about this. We've talked about it. What? I got a health condition. I'm going to a specialty clinic and I got to wait 6 months. I'm having issues now. Do you think I want to wait around and figure out if you can see me and that I'm not going to have to follow up? Y'all, I was willing to drive 3 states away and still couldn't get an appointment less than 4 months. No. That's not it. It's not it. Try Mexico. I'm just saying. Next time you go on your Cancun girls trip, bump over to Playa. Take a look. There's some great doctors. You in Mexico City? There's some great, I saw a beautiful doctor in a beautiful office. When I say super secure, like my name had to be on the list to go upstairs. Like I don't have to worry about safety. Quality? What? She got the credentials my doctor has with way better bedside manner. Called the doctor's off, the radiologist's office for me. Lined up appointments. Bye. Ain't nothing happening like that. Yeah, I'm just saying it's the possibilities that I want to open up, and that you don't have to do it by yourself. So we are a community that believes in being transparent, telling the truth about our move abroad. This is one that I'm looking forward to having real access to a quality of medical care that I know my cash money gets me access. Right now, I pay good money to my health insurance company for the care that is accessed by all of our entire family. My kids are young enough to still be on our health insurance. Okay. We pay good money, and I pay co-pays that are more than what this doctor's out-of-pocket fee is. No, we're not doing that no more. So I appreciate you all letting me share. Peace and blessings. I look forward to seeing you all on Saturday as we continue our conversation about getting it together and getting up on out of here. I'm Dee from H&D Abroad. Please like this video, subscribe to our channel, hit the notification bell. I know you want to work with us. Get on down in the description, set up a one-on-one. We're ready. We're ready for better. Better is out there. Thank y'all. Bye for now.